You think you understand how money works. You go to work, you earn a paycheck, you save what is left, and you try to buy a house. But the math is no longer adding up. You ask yourself, why is life getting so expensive? Why can nobody afford a home anymore? And how do the rich keep getting richer while everyone else is drowning in debt? The answer is not bad luck. The answer is that you are playing by a rulebook designed to keep you poor. Today, we are ripping apart the financial matrix. We will explain the 5 biggest economic illusions that control your life, from how the elite use debt to avoid taxes to the real reason your money is secretly losing its value. Welcome to the real economy. Illusion number 1, the housing trap. 50 years ago, a single income could buy a house, a car, and support a family. Today, 2 incomes barely qualify you for a mortgage on a starter home. You are told this is simply inflation or a lack of supply. That is a lie. The real reason you cannot afford a house is because you are no longer competing against other families. You are competing against Wall Street. In the aftermath of the 2008 financial crash, massive private equity firms and asset managers realized something terrifyingly profitable. Why sell a home to a family once when you can rent it back to them forever? They began buying up entire neighborhoods, sometimes paying 20 to 30% above the asking price in pure cash. They don't care about the price tag because they aren't buying a home. They are buying a permanent revenue stream. They are applying the software subscription model to your basic human need for shelter. By restricting the supply of homes available for normal people to buy, they artificially drive up prices. This forces millions of young people out of the ownership class and into the permanent renter class. You are not meant to own land. You are meant to be a tenant in their corporate ecosystem, paying a monthly fee just to exist. They are turning the American dream into a corporate lease. Every time you pay rent, you are paying a dividend to the exact same institutions that priced you out in the first place. The system is perfectly designed. They create the crisis, buy the distressed assets, and then charge you for the privilege of living in them. This is not a broken housing market. This is a highly efficient wealth extraction machine. Illusion number 2, the hidden tax of inflation. You've been taught that inflation is a natural economic force like the weather. Sometimes it rains, sometimes prices go up. You are told it is caused by greedy corporations or supply chain issues. This is a deliberate distraction. Inflation is not a mysterious event. It is a mathematical certainty designed by the very institutions that control the currency. Let us be absolutely clear about what money actually is. Money is a storage device for your time and your life energy. When you work for a week, you trade a fraction of your life in exchange for paper or numbers on a screen. You trust that those numbers will hold the value of your labor until you are ready to spend it. But the system is actively bleeding that trust dry. When a government needs billions to fund wars, bail out failing banks, or pay off impossible debts, they do not ask for your permission to raise taxes. They simply fire up the printing press. They create trillions of dollars out of thin air. But printing money does not magically create more goods, more houses, or more food. It simply dilutes the value of every single dollar that already exists. Imagine you own a rare painting, and suddenly, 1 million identical copies are dumped into the market. Your original is now worthless. This is exactly what the central banks are doing to your savings account. Every new dollar they print steals a fraction of purchasing power from the dollars in your wallet. It is an invisible tax that requires no legislation and no vote. While your paycheck remains the same, the cost of survival doubles. This is why you feel like you are running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. You're working harder and harder just to stay in the exact same place. Inflation transfers wealth from the working class, who hold cash, to the elite, who hold assets like real estate and stocks that rise with inflation. They are legally stealing your time, and they are doing it right in front of your eyes. Illusion number 3, the debt trap. From the moment you are born, you are taught that debt is a sin. You are told to work hard, pay off your credit cards, clear your student loans, and eventually, maybe, own your home free and clear. For the working class, debt is a heavy iron chain around your neck. It forces you to wake up every morning and trade your precious hours for wages just to pay the interest. But for the elite, debt is not a burden. It is the ultimate weapon of wealth creation. The wealthiest people on earth do not pay income tax, and they do not sell their assets. If you own $10 million in stock or real estate, and you sell it to buy a yacht or a mansion, the government takes a massive cut in capital gains taxes. So, the elite play a different game. They use a loophole designed exclusively for those who already own the world. They borrow against their assets. Banks are more than happy to give billionaires massive loans at incredibly low interest rates, using their stock portfolios as collateral. Because they are borrowing money, it is not classified as income. And because it is not income, it is completely tax-free. They live in absolute luxury, entirely funded by debt, while their underlying assets continue to grow in value faster than the interest accumulates. When they die, the assets are passed down, the loans are settled through estate loopholes, and the taxes are simply erased. The system is fundamentally split in two. There is one set of rules for the renters, who use debt to buy groceries and depreciating cars at 20% interest. And there is another set of rules for the owners, who use nearly free debt to acquire more assets, pay zero taxes, and solidify their financial empire. Debt is a mechanism of enslavement for the poor, but it is the key to infinite leverage for the rich. Illusion number 4, the trade illusion. Politicians love to stand at podiums and announce massive tariffs on foreign countries. They pound their fists and declare that they are making rival nations pay for unfair trade practices. It sounds patriotic. It sounds like a massive victory for the working class. But it is an absolute lie. A tariff is not a penalty paid by a foreign government. A tariff is a hidden tax paid directly by you, the consumer. When a government slaps a 25% tariff on imported steel, electronics, or clothing, the foreign manufacturer does not write a check to your government. They do not lose a single cent. Here is the actual mathematical reality of how the system works. An importing company in your country buys the goods. When those goods arrive at the border, your government forces the domestic importing company to pay the 25% tax. Now, the importing company has a choice. They can either absorb the massive loss and go bankrupt, or they can pass the cost down the chain. They always pass it down. The raw materials become more expensive, which means the manufacturer pays more. The manufacturer raises the price of the final product, and suddenly, the car you need to drive to work is $5,000 more expensive. The tariff trickles down through the entire supply chain until it lands precisely in your shopping cart. You are the one paying the penalty. And the most sinister part? Domestic corporations love tariffs. Once cheap foreign competition is heavily taxed by the government, domestic monopolies no longer have to compete on price. They quietly raise their own prices simply because they can. The politicians look like heroes. The massive corporations increase their profit margins, and your cost of living quietly skyrockets. Tariffs are nothing more than a domestic consumption tax disguised as foreign policy. It is a psychological trick designed to make you cheer while they pick your pocket. Illusion number 5, the legal laundering. When you hear the term money laundering, you probably picture drug cartels or organized crime syndicates hiding bags of dirty cash. You picture the criminal underworld scrambling to make illegal money look legitimate. But that is only the amateur leagues. The true masters of financial camouflage do not break the law. They write the laws. They have constructed an entirely legal parallel financial universe designed to make billions of dollars completely invisible to the state and to the public. If a working-class citizen makes a mistake on their taxes, the government will freeze their bank accounts and garnish their wages. But if a billionaire wants to shield a massive fortune, they simply employ an army of corporate lawyers and accountants. The process is elegant and utterly devastating to the global economy. They do not use duffel bags. They use shell companies. A shell company is a ghost. It is a business that exists only on paper, often registered in a foreign tax haven, with no actual employees and no physical office. The wealthy elite transfer their assets into these phantom corporations. Then they layer the ownership. A shell company in the Cayman Islands is owned by a trust in Switzerland, which is managed by a holding company in Panama. By the time any investigator tries to follow the money, the trail is hopelessly buried beneath a mountain of international corporate secrecy. Once the money is hidden in the dark, they use it to quietly buy up the physical world. They purchase massive luxury penthouses in New York and London. They buy $100 million pieces of fine art. These are not just investments, they are impenetrable vaults for untaxed wealth. The art market in particular is the ultimate legal laundering machine. A painting is subjective in value, making it incredibly easy to move millions of dollars across borders without triggering financial alarms. This is the grand illusion. You are subjected to absolute financial transparency. Every dollar you earn is tracked, taxed, and monitored. But the people at the very top of the pyramid operate in total darkness. They have built a system where extreme wealth is completely unaccountable. The game is rigged, the board is tilted, and you are playing against an opponent who can change the rules whenever they are losing. Welcome to the real economy.